Good afternoon and welcome to Big Info at BCIT. My name is Laura Vale and I'm the Senior Director for Student Success. We're so excited to have you join us here this afternoon to learn more about BCIT and the programs and supports that we offer. Before we begin, I'd like to gratefully acknowledge that BCIT campuses are located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, which include the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I'm delighted to be joining you in your own homes or workplaces in a way that allows so many of you to join us, while still showcasing all of the awesome opportunities available at BCIT. At BCIT, we're proud of all of the programs and services that we deliver to our community. And we know that the information that we'll be providing to you during Big Info tonight and throughout the week will help students find a home here at BCIT. We have a great lineup for you as we move forward in our agenda. As we move through the presentations, please feel free to post your questions in the chat function. There will also be time for questions following each session, so please ask all the questions that come to you throughout the presentation and as presentations wrap up. So today's agenda is on the screen. First up, I will introduce Student Success and the presenters who will be speaking to you today on all of our wonderful student supports. At 5:30, we have Computing and IT who will speak about their programs. And then finally at 6:30, International Services will join us to talk about international recruitment and admissions, student services, and credential evaluation. So we have three excellent presenters to speak to you about student success at BCIT and all of the services and supports available to you. Bobby and Rosie are two of our wonderful students who also work as student life ambassadors in our student life office. So they're definitely a great pair to ask questions of. And we also have Krista joining us as our Associate Director for Student Life. And we also have a great group of folks behind the scenes who have all of the answers that you're looking for. So before I pass it over to Bobby and Rosie, I thought I would speak briefly about the role and commitment of student success at BCIT. So as the Senior Director for Student Success, I have to say that I'm especially proud of the work that we do to support all students, both in and outside of the classroom. Not only is BCIT an exciting and innovative place to study, we also offer many opportunities for you to expand your learning outside of the classroom. At BCIT, we believe that all students can be successful, and we are committed to meeting students' needs so that their experience here can be everything and more that you might be looking for. Not only will you have opportunities to be successful professionally and academically, we also recognize that you might have personal goals that you're looking to achieve as well, and we can help with that. I know that life certainly doesn't go on hold while you're in school, and you can rest assured that we have the right supports, whether they be financial, mental, physical, or other, to help you along in your journey here. So on the screen is a link to the Student Success Hub, which will lead you to all of the important resources that Krista, Bobby, Rosie, and team will be speaking to over the next hour or so. This is a great resource for all students to find whatever supports or information that you might be looking for. And so I encourage all of you, including families and friends of future BCIT students, to check out that Learning Hub or that Student Success Hub. You'll find that the staff and the supports at BCIT are easily accessible and very kind and helpful. And with that, I will hand it over to Rosie and Bobby. Have a wonderful session this evening.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Well, my name is Bobby Davidson, currently a student life ambassador, as well as serving as the chair of the School of Business and Media at the BCIT Student Association. Laura, thank you for having me. Now, we're going to start off with the office that Rosie and I are a part of, the Student Life Office, which connects students with the resources and services that are available to them on campus and will help them thrive in their time at BCIT. Some of the services that the Student Life Office offers are Kickstart, which is their general orientation for programming each term, the Student Life Ambassador Program, as well as the Early Assist Program, which we'll be talking more about later in our presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosie, Student Life Ambassador. As an international student, I just realized that BCIT has offered so much more than just education. So especially as student life office, we use the 8 dimensions of well-being framework to support student wellness. There is intellectual, occupational, physical, financial, psychological, environmental, spiritual, and social. The 8 dimension will be covered through how many activity and services for students that we will cover. We will mention later in the next slide. So next, Bobby will introduce you the Kickstart event, one of the biggest events that we provide for students at the beginning of every school year.
Thank you, Rosie. Speak on Kickstart. Kickstart refers to the various events, activities, information that help our Kickstart students on their journey at BCIT. Program orientations are separate and usually mandatory for Kickstart events. Student Success Hub. Now, I believe that Krista may speak on this later, but it's essentially a place where students can be able to gather and share information with one another. As for the information activities we have, there are the Ask Me booths, which will be placed around campus in the coming months, where you can come up to a student life ambassador and ask some questions, as well as service fairs, where you can pop in and chat with services and resources that are around campus.
And as we are working as Student Life Ambassador, we're playing an important role presenting BCIT, coordinating and implementing Student Life Office programming from a student's central perspective. We use the Student Life engagement calendar to structure programming throughout the whole year. And our SLA will work to enhance student well-being and have students to connect with a wide range of services and support available at BCIT. We are SLA student from across program available to support student anytime. And as Student Life Office, we have our social media where you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and to get more update on event for students. We also have Student Hangouts. It's an online event. It's a student-run online virtual meeting where we can catch up with students from different programs and then sharing more experience as BCIT, not only for study focus, but also for social focus. And we're also running a lot of events through the whole year to make sure that our students at BCIT have a good connection and we build up our wellness together.
We're going to have Krista here speak on early assist. So take it from here, Krista.
Thanks, Bobby. It's my pleasure to speak about Early Assist. Laura earlier introduced me. My name is Krista Lambie, and I'm the Associate Director, Student Life. It's my team that leads Early Assist. This is a confidential online platform that allows folks at BCIT to make referrals for students who might benefit from academic, social, or personal support. We know that sometimes through your academic career, challenges may arise. Studying can be quite tough. It can be quite rigorous. And of course, we also know that things arise in individuals' personal lives that might require just a little bit more support from us here at BCIT. When an Early Assist referral is submitted for a student, that student gets a case manager who connects with them and provides really personal and highly supportive assistance to that student. We're able to connect students with other resources on campus as well as off-campus resources. Early Assist is not for emergencies and it's not for conduct violations. It is really a supportive, encouraging, and confidential service that we encourage all folks at BCIT to use and refer others to. Thanks so much. And Bobby, I will hand it over to you and Rosie again.
Thank you very much, Krista, for talking about Early Assist. It's a very helpful program. Now to speak on student financial aid and awards, the financial aid department at BCIT provides students with information about various financial aid options, assists with the application process, and aid in the resolutions of problems, as well as administering scholarships and bursaries. Now, the financial aid office can help you determine the type of funding to apply for, whether full-time versus part-time, assist with BC and out-of-province student loans or grants application process, as well as helping you access the funds after you apply for funding. Now, The financial aid office can also help you keep your previous loans in good standing by providing assistance on interest-free status applications for returning students who are not receiving further student loan funding. We'll also provide information on the repayment of your student loan and repayments as options. Tuition fee deferrals are also available for eligible domestic students who have been approved for government funding or other types of funding, whether it be EI sponsorship, your RSP, RESP awards, or scholarships. I'll speak on the adult updating grant. Now the AUG is a non-repayable provincial government funded program, which provides direct educational costs for students enrolled in upgrading and ESL courses. To be eligible for the AUG, the student must be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or person with a protected person status. Students who have formerly spent time as a youth in care in BC may qualify for financial support to cover some educational costs. These resources include the BC Provincial Tuition Waiver Program, Youth Education Assistance Fund, and BCIT Youth in Care Tuition Waiver Program. And the Financial Aid Department does also administer various awards and scholarships. I'll speak more on this here. First off, to start with the bursaries. Bursary is a non-repayable award, which is granted to a student who demonstrates financial need and is progressing satisfactorily in their business BCIT program. There are a limited number of bursaries available, and preference is given to students who, after having exhausted all other sources of financial assistance, still demonstrate financial need. Deadlines for such bursaries are on the dates of January 30, June 30, and October 30. So I would note those down. For newcoming students, the entrance awards recognizes academic and non-academic achievements of students entering eligible BCIT programs. All entrance awards are adjudicated on a competitive basis. Selection is based on academic standing in high school and previous post-secondary studies, as well as other factors. Now, there are two deadlines for these per year, one being on August the 5th and January 6th, which also depends on when you start your program. Say if you're starting in the fall, you'll likely want to go for the one on August 5th. Now, starting from the 2022-23 academic year, these deadlines will be placed on April 15th and October 1st, depending on your starting date. Now move on to scholarships. Scholarships are awarded to students who achieve the highest average in their first year of a full-time program and at grad while maintaining 100% course load. Applications are not required as they're awarded automatically. Now, next I'm going to move to achievement awards. So basically, achievement awards are awarded to students who have the most outstanding marks in specific courses or demonstrated excellence in qualities such as leadership, service, and class participation in their first year or grad. Now, these selections are made by departments, so applications are again not necessary. Now, for the international students out there, for international students, they are only eligible for the scholarships and achievement awards. So please keep that in mind. Next, the Financial Aid Office also provides emergency loans and bursaries for those in need. So the loans may be available to students who have experienced an unexpected delay in receiving their government funding, while emergency bursaries may be available to students who are experiencing an unexpected financial hardship that is out of their control, where they have exhausted all other sources of funding. Now, both these types of funding will require an appointment with a financial aid advisor. So if you're needing any support or need to answer any further questions on this topic for financial aid, please speak with a financial aid advisor at the financial aid department. Now, how students can connect with the SFAA? You can connect with the student financial aid over their phone number listed on the slide, 604-432-8555. That's again, 604-432-8555. Now the hours they're able to answer your call are somewhere between 8:30 a.m. and 4 p.m., as well as by email on finaid@bcit.ca. Now the advisors are available from Mondays to Fridays at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. to conduct student appointments. So if you're interested in setting up an appointment, you can call them up, as well as visit their website, which is also displayed on the slide, for questions regarding application submission, loan repayments, as well as additional financial supports. Now, next upcoming slides, will address Center for Workplace Education. So we'd like to welcome Susanna Can, the Workplace Education Coordinator and Program Head, to present on this topic.
Thanks so much, Bobby. Hello, everyone. It is my great pleasure today to represent the Center for Workplace Education, where we house our cooperative education programs as well as BCIT's job board. So first off, I will talk to you about cooperative education, and often referred to as co-op programs. These programs that you see listed on the screen right now are just 12 of the program areas that we manage within the Center for Workplace Education office. And co-op is really a three-way partnership. It's a three-way partnership between BCIT, the students, and the employers. And so as co-op coordinators, we have our hands in all three circles where we're working with all three of the partners that are involved, where students are actually formally rotating their academic term and going into a paid work experience. And so this way, students are able to benefit from applying their work or applying their academic knowledge and their learning from the classroom. They're able to apply it into a workplace. And then when they come back to class, they're able to share their knowledge from the workplace into the classroom. And that really benefits also everyone involved as well. For us, it really is a real pleasure working with students in their journey and watching them grow in terms of their employability skills and in terms of just their personal growth and just their professional growth coming from school into the workplace. We monitor them when they are in the workplace, and we do check-ins on them, and we check in on the employers, and we make sure that everyone's having a great experience. And so just wanted to let you know that though these are 12 areas that we are working formally in these program areas, I also wanted to encourage you all to take a look at the specific program areas that you're interested in coming to BCIT for, because other than these 12 areas across BCIT, there are also other work integrated learning experiences and programs that program areas actually provide directly to their students. So for example, like internships, practicums, or even industry student sponsored projects, those are also available within each of the program areas. And there's way too many of them to list off of this one screen. And because they are functionally part of each of the program areas, I would really highly encourage you all to attend the individual information sessions for the program areas that you're interested in to find out more. So that is just a little nutshell on the cooperative education programs, and moving into the eJobs job board. So this is our platform that we have at BCIT that houses the part-time, seasonal, temporary, and full-time opportunities that both students and alumni can access. And so once you're registered as a student, you have continuous access to this job board as an alumni, and employers contact us specifically because they really want to hire the fantastic students and alumni that are coming out of our program area. So I'd encourage you when you join us to please sign up for an account, and you'll have access to those job opportunities. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Susanna. And it's my pleasure to speak to you about our accessibility services here at BCIT. Inclusive and accessible education is a passion for us. And so you may be wondering whether or not you may be eligible to register with accessibility services. So if you are a student who experiences a permanent or a temporary disability, if you have limitations or barriers to your learning related to a health condition, and you are registered as a BCIT student in a part-time class or a full-time program. And also note that you can apply for accommodations related to the admissions process. So if you are a prospective student, that's an option for you as well. You may be asking how you register with accessibility services. So there's some information here. I won't speak to it in great detail, but you can note that we have a medical form, and this is a comprehensive report from a health professional that meets criteria, including confirmation of a disability or health condition. It should be current. It should provide information on functional limitations, And it should identify how those limitations impact your participation in post-secondary studies. This is really how the vocational rehabilitation specialist, yourself, and the programs work together to design accommodations that work for your specific needs. Students also complete an intake and self-assessment form, so your own self-assessment plays in to this process as well. We often get students asking that about accommodations that they had at their own school through an IEP in high school, wondering if they'll receive the same accommodations here at BCIT. So certainly there's no guarantee around receiving the exact same accommodations, but certainly they will review your medical documentation, take time to speak with you, and really look at what has worked for you in the past as well. And they're really committed to maximizing your learning and taking into account all your documented challenges, and also trying to ensure that you feel safe and supported. And so they'll also offer support to you throughout your time at BCIT should you face any challenges with your accommodations or new challenges that may require reassessment. We often get questions about special grants or funding for students with disabilities. And so here you'll see that if you're a student with a permanent disability as determined by Student Aid BC, and you are also eligible for a part-time or full-time student loan, you can access grants. And there's the link there that shows you how to access that, and you can do that by visiting the Student Aid BC website. From there, I'm going to hand it over to Bobby and Rosie to speak a little bit about health services.
The Student Life Ambassadors now continue presenting for student health services. So I'd like you to kind of just examine this slide here. Basically, don't put your health on hold. Be sure that you always keep in mind with the 8 dimensions of well-being and in regards to mental health. Ensure that you're always making sure that you keep that a priority towards mental health first. Because even with your studies, even with the other commitments you may have going on, if you're not physically feeling well, you're feeling rather socially anxious. And of course, it's been a very difficult time in this transitional period, or really just need some time to kind of cool off and take a break. I would really encourage you to certainly speak with BCIT Student Health Services Department, who have great offers that can be able to help you, as listed on the slide, as well as get acquainted with those other student services and student representatives. Now, in regards to entry by appointment, please know that there are no walk-ins allowed. So to keep a safe space, protect everyone, whether it be students or staff, do ask that you attend a health and counseling office physical space. Just be sure not to come in without setting an appointment first. Now, if you would like to call or book an appointment, you can certainly arrange a time to visit by calling the number listed on the slide. Okay. Now, as for the top reasons to visit the Student Health Services Department in particular, there are many reasons, whether it be in regards to sexual health, say pap smear, or be the pregnancy test for an STI, birth control, or options of emergency contraceptives. You also have mental health support, where you can speak with a counselor and have a professional confidential appointment. The time limit on that is 50 minutes, and to speak confidentially about matters that are going on in your personal or school life. Now, you can also head over to the office for injuries and wound care. So if you just kind of broke your back over at the gym, don't worry about it. Just the office is right down the hall there in that same building over the Burnaby campus. Just head on over to the clinic if it's an emergency. I'm sure we'll do what we can to help support each other. Now, there are also immunizations where you can receive a flu shot your routine vaccinations, excluding travel, as well as procedures like sutures and suture removal, wart removal, as well as ear flushing. Now to contact the office, the phone number is again listed on this slide. You can also head to the website for their online booking. And please note that the online booking is designated for students only. So staff booking will need to be rejected. The clinic hours are listed on the slide, but I'll just kind of read them out here, so you have a verbal sense. On September to May, they're every Monday to Wednesday, as well as Friday, from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Also on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Then if you're wanting to come along in the summer months, just be certain that you come during that set time, Monday to Wednesday and Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., as well as Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Now we're talking about the consulting service at BCIT. So I would say consulting service is one of the more wonderful services for students that I always encourage my classmates and other students at BCIT to reach out. We offer free confidential consulting for all enrolled students at BCIT. Our counselor will offer one-on-one appointment that provide a supportive, non-judgmental environment for students to talk about any issue or concern that you may face when you are here in BCIT. And students can also get help with academic, personal, mental health, or even like career-related concerns. And we also have lots of proof and workshops for students to joining us in order to improve student engagement, student wellness, and also student development. And in the next slide, I will talking more about, Krista, can you move to the next slide? Sure. We also have support student with virtual support, so you can booking for video and telephone appointment. And for more detailed consulting service, please refer to this website, bcit.ca/consulting. In the next slide, I will talking more about the student housing service, which is very wonderful, especially for those who are international students who first come to Canada and first come to BCIT. So as BCIT, we have student housing. We have 7 buildings, and which building we have 4 suites. So we have 12 bedrooms, with 1 resident advisor apartment and 1 laundry room. So we have 2 floor bedroom and bathroom and dinner room and living room with 2 full kitchen. So normally we have 12 students live together in each suite, but currently since we due to the pandemic, we will have just limit 6 students in 1 suite. Next slide. And how do you know that you can apply for student housing? Make sure that you are eligible to apply for long stay accommodation at BCIT housing. If you are you're being accepted for full-time cohort-based BCIT program of 12 weeks or longer. And housing for program of 12 weeks or less also available for students in trade apprenticeship program or other program, full-time program that are 12 weeks or less. How do apply? So the best is go to BCIT housing website to check for more detail. But if you are applying for 2022, please refer to our website. We have more information, and please take note that our accommodation is limited and not guaranteed. In the next slide, Bobby will talking about creation services for students.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Now let's definitely talk about recreation services. Now, why should you use rec services? Well, find that we offer fitness classes, which are around 10 or so each semester. You have your free lunchtime class every week for students, as well as boxing, yoga, spin, ballet, and so many more different kinds of activities to partake in. On the Burnaby campus, we offer this large weight room. It's free for all active students and staff, which has top-of-the-line cardio machines, strength equipment, as well as access to personal trainers. Now, the weight room is something that I've personally checked out, though I've been really meaning to try the equipment. My friend Aman, who's the chair of energy, certainly been inviting me to come over, and I'd certainly love to check it out myself. So, you know, everybody go and hit up the gym, just make some time to take an hour, get that physical exercise. I think it's really important for your health. You know, there are also sports programs. You know, there's 7 intramural leagues, a boxing studio, multi-purpose gymnasium. The gym is so big, it's like, you know, whole football field. Archery, so squash courts and table tennis. So like to kind of take out the paddles, you know, back and forth, have some fun. It's a fun game. And speaking of physical activity, you know, I think we do ought to have a stretch break, maybe kind of get up, just, you know, just like this, and just kind of, you know, stretch out your shoulders, kind of move those muscles around. I'll actually, so see Lisa. Yes, I'll let you take it from here.
Hi, thanks, Bobby. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Soltiski, and I'm with Recreation Services. So we're here to provide just an opportunity for you to take a little bit of a break, to take 5. We know normally we sit at our front desk and we were working all the time. So I'm assuming a lot of you guys are sitting right now. So what I'm going to quickly do is get everybody just to kind of quickly stand up. And we're just going to stand up here kind of thing and just do a big, just like a star stretch. Just stretch out your arms and stretch it back kind of thing on that. And then just go a little bit from side to side, rotates from side to side, kind of thing on that, and then side, and then the other side. Kind of thing on that is what we're gonna do. And now I'm gonna go back to pretend I'm sitting here. So again, I'm gonna go back to my neck. So I'm just gonna rotate my neck from one side to the other side, and then the front to one side, and then the other side. And we'll do that again. Now I'm just going to rotate my shoulders, going backwards, and then I'm going forward. And now I'm going to just twist in my chair a bit. I'm not going to pull a lot. I'm just going to slightly twist to where I feel a little bit of pull. And then the other side. And we're going to go back. And back to the other side. Then we're actually going to focus on our hands, because normally we do a lot with our hands and we forget that. So what we're just going to do is going to push them together. I'm going to tilt my camera a little bit better so you can see it a little bit better. Push them together. And I can push them. Sit. And I'm going to get one hand to push the other hand up. And then down. And then the other hand up. And then down. And then I'm just going to rotate my fingers and my wrists. And then we're going to go the other way. And then I'm just going to close, tight fist, and then open. Again, tight fist, and then open. That's what we're going to do. I'll do that one more time. And then I'm going to clasp my hands together and I'm just going to push them out. And feel that a little bit in your shoulders too. So you're going to rotate one side and come back to the center. And then rotate to the other side. And then we'll do that one more time. Rotate. And then rotate. Good too. I don't think you'll see me here, but what we're going to do is we're going to sit up tall. We're going to put one leg on top of the other. So we're going to put one leg on top of our knee, and then we're just going to push it down. See if I can get you guys to see this a little bit more. Further back. So just basically my leg is up and then I'm just pushing down. And sitting nice and tall. And then I'm going to switch to my other leg. And then push down. we'll go back again. And leg. Switch. Now while we're doing this, I'm going to now rotate. One side to the next side. Oh, I'm a little tight. We'll do that one more time. And we're going to switch legs. Top. Okay. And then just press down again a little bit. I'm going to rotate from one side to the other side. Back again. And now I'm going to stick my leg straight out for my chair. I'm going to reach and try and touch my toes just to reach. So my ankles should be on the floor, my feet should be pointing up. Then I'm going to grab my right hand and go to my left foot and then kind of twist and rotate to the side. And then you get my left hand or my right foot, rotate. And then the last thing we're going to do is just going to rotate our ankles. So time is almost up here. You know, one way, one ankle, and then the other way. One way, and then the other way. Well, thanks to you for taking Take 5, and Recreation here is here for you guys to support you guys to be active and to come play. Back to you, Bobby.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Now, I had almost thought that the SLAs were going to partake in the stretch.
Now it's over to Doug for the library and learning comments.
Very well. Hi, Doug.
There, I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Doug. I'm going to talk to you briefly about the library and the learning commons. Our main library is on the Burnaby campus, but we do have smaller libraries at 3 of our other campuses as well. And you can see on the screen quite a list of the services that we offer. So I'm not going to talk about all of these, but I'll just mention a couple of interesting points. There's a service called Ask Away. It's actually not on the slide, but it's a chat reference service where students can get online help with research, citations, using the library, finding materials, journal databases, troubleshooting access to library materials and other library topics. It's an online chat service where basically they connect with a librarian and they can talk about anything. Now, I also want to mention MediaWorks. MediaWorks is a really interesting space. It's in the Burnaby Library, and it is a digital workshop where students can create, innovate, and collaborate to turn their ideas into life. For example, I know there's a lot of 3D printing that goes on in there, and they produce some very interesting objects. MediaWorks offers a creative space with industry standard equipment, and there's professional guidance from our team to help you succeed in there. So if you're interested in MediaWorks or any of the library services, just do a Google search on BCIT Library and you'll go right onto our website. Now, I'm just gonna mention a couple of other things about the library, that we also have a lot of ebooks. There's over 100 ebook titles, and most of them are downloadable. You can stream videos. The library subscribes to a number of streaming services in a range of subject areas, including business, IT, and trades. So there's a lot of online content for you. We also subscribe to e-journals and magazines. So for anybody who needs to do research, you can get the latest research online and stay current in your field. And something that the librarians have done is that they have developed research guides for different areas, for almost every program area. and that helps you quickly access the resources that are important to you in that field. So there's a lot of really good resources available at the library. As I say, I'm not going to go through all of these on the slide because there's a lot there, but just do a Google search on BCIT library and then you can explore anything. Now, if we can go to the next slide, I'm going to talk briefly about the Learning Commons. The Learning Commons is a really great support area at BCIT, and it operates out of the library, but our goal is to academically support students. And we've got a number of programs that we operate that will help support you. I'm going to start actually with number 2 on the list there on your screen, peer tutoring. This is probably our most popular program. And peer tutors are your fellow BCIT students. They've taken the courses that you're taking, they've succeeded in them, they've done well, and they are available to help you with any problems you run into with your course, dealing with any issues that you might have, sharing strategies that help them succeed, and pointing you to resources that might be helpful. Peer tutoring is a great service. It's free for BCIT students, so there's no charge. And right now, I'll mention that all of our peer tutoring is online, but we are aiming to bring back in-person tutoring as the term wears on. All right. Now, just to go back to the first line on the slide, no, not that one, the same slide, but just the first line that says online study skills and information. That's a peer tutoring room, but it's a specialized peer tutoring room. Again, this is an online room that's staffed by highly experienced peer tutors, and it's a place where you can ask questions about basically anything. If you don't know where to start, if you don't know what kind of information you need, drop in on the online study skills room, and they can point you in the right direction, even if they can't answer your question directly. So your question doesn't have to be content related to your course. It can be anything about BCIT or how to be a student. So it's a really good place to start for any question that you might have that you don't know how to get information on. So that's the first 2 lines on the slide, the peer tutoring and the online study skills and information room. Now I'm going to turn to the 3rd line, which is writing tutoring. The library also operates a writing center, and this is a drop-in space currently online where you can connect one-on-one with a live tutor. And you can basically ask about anything that has to do with writing, how to approach an assignment. It can be about, citations. It can be about referencing. It can be about how to structure a paper. Anything to do with producing written work. Our writing tutors have a wide range of experience with all kinds of different writing. And again, they are BCIT students. So chances are they've probably done a lot of the assignments that you're going to come in and ask about, and they've done well in them. So they're there to provide you with suggestions, advice, strategies that worked for them. All right. Again, this is a free service for BCIT students, and the information is available on the Learning Commons website. The 4th service I'm going to talk about is called Right Away. Right Away is a great service. I wish we had it when I was a student. I'm an old guy. We didn't have stuff like that. But Right Away is an online asynchronous tutoring system for writing assignments. What does that mean? Well, that means that you don't actually connect with a live tutor, that you submit an assignment on their submission queue. One of the Right Away tutors will pick it up and write comments, and then within 2 or 3 days, they will email it back to you. So Right Away is a good option if you're not in a rush. If you prefer to get immediate feedback from a live person, then the 3rd option is the one for you. But it's good to know that there's a couple of different options there for you. Okay, again, it's a free service for BCIT students. The next one on the list is learning skills seminars. These are specialized seminars and workshops that we run throughout the term, and they focus on academic skills that are not course related. So what do I mean by that? Things like time management, how to be an online student, how to study and prepare for exams. So really, it's about study skills and learning strategies. And again, we run these throughout the term. These are led by faculty, not students. And we have a schedule published on our Learning Commons website of the topics and the dates and instructions how to access them. And the last point I'm going to talk about is student employment. Well, why student employment here? Well, because any given term, we employ between 60 and 100 peer tutors. So if anybody thinks it's something they might be interested in, we're always on the lookout for tutors. And it's a way to, build a BCIT sense of community, connect with your fellow students, and make some money in the process if you're interested in working as a student peer tutor with us. So all the information is on our website, and you can see just at the bottom of the slide there, it's BCIT/Learning Commons. We've also got an email address there. But honestly, the simplest thing to do to access us is just do a Google search on BCIT Learning Commons, and you will see the information come up in your Google search screen. So we've got a lot of really good services to support you in the Learning Commons, and we're here for you, and we want you to use our services. That's why we're here. Services are all free, and you don't need to register for these. You're already pre-registered in all of these when you set up yourself as a BCIT student. All right. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take any questions on that. I'm sorry that's a lot of information to throw at you in a couple of minutes. If there's any questions there, I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, please contact us for more information at our website, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Douglas. And we're happy to welcome our friends from Applied Research to share a little bit about this area.
Hi there. Welcome to everybody to the information session. I just want to briefly talk about applied research at BCIT. Applied research is something that goes on in a lot of your programs. It's often talked about as industry-sponsored student projects or capstone projects. But we also have a separate applied research group that works with students around entrepreneurship, sustainability, and specific programs that'll help students get ahead in areas that are not necessarily directly related to the program. So if you come in and you have a bright idea that you want to work on, or you've had something that's been burning a hole in your brain for a number of years that you want to get out into business, or just something that you want to work on, we can help you with that at Applied Research. We have a number of mentors and researchers that you can work with. You can come and ask questions. You can talk to them one-on-one. We even have a lot of specialized equipment that is accessible by students, such as specialized 3D printing, machining, electronics, and other labs that we make available for students to come and work with the researchers on their programs. In addition to this, we have something called the Student Innovation Challenge. I think that's on the next slide. Next slide. Oh, nope, it's not on that slide. If you could go back one slide, please. So we have a Student Innovation Challenge that is a contest where you can bring in an idea, either a business idea or an idea for a project for research, or even an idea for a product that you want to develop. Very much like a pitch to a venture capitalist. You come in, you send us a very short explanation of what it is that you want to do, either your program or your business opportunity. You'll have to make a video pitch at some point in time, or directly speak with our judges for the competition. But the nice thing is that the first prize is $5,000, and there's actually 3 first prizes of $5,000. So there's a significant amount of money to be won in the program. You can use that money to further your idea, or you can use that money to further your education at BCIT. We're pretty flexible in what you're allowed to do with it. There are also second and third prizes, not as rich as the $5,000, but still available. And again, faculty research support for the Student Innovation Challenge and Entrepreneur workshops. Next slide, please. Other student opportunities, as I said before, applied research works with students in their capstone projects or the industry-sponsored student projects. It can be in any of the schools: School of Business, School of Energy, School of Computing and Academic Studies, Transportation, Health. All of the schools participate in it. We do have some summer positions for students in applied research. We typically hire between 10 and 20 students every year to work in the research labs in a variety of fields, and everything from chemistry to electrical engineering to digital media to assist with the programs we've got on. We also have a Phase 0 research project, which faculty can use to work with students to do some basic discovery on a particular topic. Say a faculty member has a topic that they are interested in possibly doing research on, and they can hire a student at a cost of about $2,000, which we provide the funding for that student to do some basic background document research and internet research on whether or not there's a possible research opportunity. And then the last thing is, even if you don't want to participate in the Student Innovation Challenge and you have an idea that you want to move forward, we can help you with a lot of the technical support for entrepreneurial projects. We can help you with intellectual property, help you with seeing how or if it's worthwhile applying for patents, and help you develop business cases for taking your product to market. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but just be aware that there are opportunities outside of your educational or your direct educational programs for you to help further your careers and do some pretty interesting stuff at BCIT. Thank you very much.
Kim, we have a question that came in while you were speaking. On your previous slide, you had mentioned $5,000. A student asked, what is that for and how do you get it?
So the $5,000 is a first prize in the Student Innovation Contest. So if you submit an application or a project within the Student Innovation Challenge, and there will be, you can go to the BCIT Applied Research website and find out more about that, how you would do that. But if you win $5,000, and what you do with that $5,000 is entirely up to you. So you can use it to further your project. You can use it to further, pay for your tuition for your education. And if you really have an excess of cash, you could use it to go on a summer vacation if you want to. But the key is you have to enter the Student Innovation Challenge, and you have to come in first in order to get that $5,000.
Thanks so much, Kim. Very helpful. Before we get on to answering some of the questions that you folks may have and have typed into the Q&A box there, we do want to remind you that you will have an opportunity to win a tuition prize from BCIT. So after this info session is complete, you will receive a survey. When you complete the survey, you are automatically entered in for a chance to win this tuition prize. If you have any questions, you can email events@bcit.ca, and you can see the link there for full contest rules as well. We'll leave you here with a slide that shows a few other opportunities for you to learn more about BCIT. And I do see a few questions in the box that would be relevant to all. One of them being, how can I access the recording of this big info session after this is complete? And in about 2 to 3 days, these videos will be uploaded to the BCIT YouTube channel. So please go ahead and check in a couple days' time for this recording. We had another question here that got answered, but it might be relevant, and maybe our folks from program advising can jump in. we had the question, does BCIT accept secondary school graduation students to apply for diploma and bachelor degrees? I was told the admission and acceptance rate of secondary students is low. Is there anyone from program advising who might be able to jump on and share a response to that? Gabriella?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Our programs have very different entrance requirements, and we have a variety of programs that would accept students straight from high school, but it really depends on the program. So my suggestion for those who are still in high school and are interested in learning what programs accept applications from high school students is for you to connect directly with us. You can connect with us through email, or you can also have an in-person meeting with us through our drop-in sessions, or even from the comfort of your home, you can connect with program advising as well. I am going to type for everybody to read the information where you can actually connect with program advising, so everybody can see it, and we will be more than welcome to help with any inquiry that you may have. Thank you, Krista. Back to you.
Thanks. I have a question for SLAs, so this can be Bobby or Rosie. What's a challenge that you've experienced at BCIT, and what's a service or support that's helped you overcome that challenge?
Well, thank you for your question. Now, I came in straight from secondary just last year. I'm now in my second year of the accounting diploma program. Now, a service that's assisted me from the Institute, I believe I can't really exactly name one. The only thing that comes to mind, unfortunately, is the career services service that's offered by the Student Association, which is separate from the Institute. But of course, if there are any questions on certain services from regards to either the Institute or Student Association, I could be able to perhaps answer that today or direct you to an applicable representative.
Thanks, Bobby. You make a great point that there's also a really wide range of services offered by the BCIT Student Association. And so folks can be encouraged to go and check out that website as well for a range of services offered there. And there's great collaboration between the Student Association and BCIT on offering and supporting students. Thanks so much. Rosie, did you have anything that you wanted to add there?
Yeah, sure. Actually, for those who are international students, I refer you guys to reach out to their international student center first. So since I'm also international student and I'm just being here 2 months ago, I got your back. I'm feeling like there are lots of things that you have to deal with since you are overseas in BCIT or Canada is so new to you. So I would say in the past 1 year, I studied online, and the whole years, I feel like I'm to keep reaching out and keep contacting, receiving help and support a lot from international students center as BCIT. They're the way for you to get on the answer related to your visa, your application, co-op, how you can get to BCIT, how you can get to Canada, how to prepare for your new life at BCIT. And I realized really helpful, like the more you, the sooner you prepare for the journey, the better you can be confident at BCIT. And just let you know that as I was sharing at the beginning that since I started my study at BCIT last year, I realized BCIT has offered me so much more than just education. And I encourage all my classmates, all students that I know to reach out to us, to go from our website to meet us in person, Student Life Ambassador office. And we are here to answer on your question, and you need any support, just let us know. Yeah, I feel very grateful, and I know that I can do more and do my best at BCIT, and I hope you can feel the same as well.
Thanks, Rosie. We're so lucky to have you as a student life ambassador with your enthusiasm and your experience at BCIT. I see we do have a question here about where can we complete the survey. And the survey will be sent to you at the email address you used to register for this Zoom. It will be sent out on Friday, October 8th, the last day of Big Info. So please be sure to check your email then. And I see we're coming up on the end of our session, but we have time for a few more questions. We have one. Is on-campus housing available from May to September? Do we have folks from our housing area to address that question? If someone doesn't jump in, they'll chat in their answer there to your question, Catherine. Another one, where is it possible to find the presentation online to see the information again? And once again, that will be posted to the YouTube channel in 2 to 3 days time. So please do give us a few days, but it will be posted there for you to be able to review at your leisure. There's been a lot of information shared today, so that's a great opportunity to see that again. With that, we'll leave a few minutes. If you want to stay online and ask more questions, someone will be able to type in a response to you. Otherwise, I would really like to thank all of our panelists. We'd like to thank you for attending today. It's hard when we can't see your faces and connect with you, but we do invite you to reach out to any of the folks who shared today and any of the departments and services that we shared about. It's our absolute pleasure to connect with prospective students, their families, counselors, and others. So please do reach out. Thank you all and have a great evening. I hope that you will stay on for our next session with Big Info as well.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm sorry I got rid of the music, but I wanted to make sure that the slides would show. And it looks like we are right at 5:30 right now.
Donna,
So,
there's a question in the Q&A. Student didn't say which program, but they're asking if the classes are face-to-face or in person or online. Could you restate your question, please? Because it depends on the program, if you're talking about full-time or part-time.
okay, thanks, Kevin. All right, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you are here because you want to know more about computing and IT at BCIT. So my name is Donna, and I will start us off here. So as Kevin mentioned, in computing and IT, we have many, many different programs that we're going to be giving you a fairly quick introduction to all of them today. So today is meant to be a wide range, quick overview of all of our programs. So when you're asking questions, please be specific about which program you are talking about. Oh, and please note that we're recording this session. Okay, so it won't just be me. We have a number of panelists today, and we'll each speak to different slides that kind of reflect our particular areas. And as some housekeeping notes, we are in a webinar, which means that the participants, I think they cannot type in the chat, but what we do have is Q&A. So that's a little bit more of a threaded way of asking questions. So please ask your questions in Q&A, and we'll try to keep all of our answers in there as well. And yeah, make sure you mention which program if you know which one you're asking about. Just for housekeeping, if you're joining us from a mobile device, you should also have a Q&A box there. And besides those panelists that I showed, we have a number of people behind the scenes who will be answering questions in the Q&A. So it won't just be us. So I'm going to turn it over to Aaron now for the next few slides.
Hello. I hope people can see me. I turned my video on. Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm the Associate Dean for Computing, and I'm going to introduce, first I'm going to say a few words about the tech sector in BC and then some of our programs. I did this about 6 months ago, and I told people it was the first time I'd worn a shirt with buttons in a year, and this makes 2, so this is a special occasion for me on the calendar. Okay, so I want to, next slide, please, Donna. So first of all, there's a theme that I'll mention a couple times here, which is on the title of this slide, which says all tech companies are now tech companies. So that is a bit of a mantra around here. Formerly tech companies were companies that made software or made, systems of some kind, but increasingly every company has an IT or a software component to what they do. So as a result, that opens up a lot more opportunities for work in our for our graduates and our students. And the picture here, by the way, that's our program advisory committee, which is a group of industry experts who we meet with regularly, and they keep us current, keep us connected to industry and what the current trends are. So all of our programs are going to be aligned with what your jobs are going to look like when you get out. Next slide, please, Donna. Okay, so a little about the BC tech industry. It's a big industry. It employs about almost 200,000 people. Incidentally, we say 71,000 of those are indirectly employed. So these are people working in the roles I talked about, non-tech companies, but technical roles. So companies in traditional industry, which they have technology needs. You can see 17.4 billion in domestic GDP, which actually is about 77% of our province GDP, which is actually an impressive figure when you consider our long history as a resource-based economy. Next slide, please. And you can see the jobs as expected around the province are concentrated in the Lower Mainland, but with significant numbers of jobs in places like the Vancouver Island area, the interior, and even up north there's jobs, again, because of the need for IT professionals in virtually all areas. And as we try to serve the entire province as an educational institution. Next slide, please. This is a nice number. 97% of the tech workforce retained their jobs through the lockdown, through the pandemic, right? So this is, the pandemic has been hard for everybody, but it's especially hard when you lose your job at the same time. And this is just a nice indicator of how resilient tech jobs are to even really big societal shifts, and how easily we were able to move to an online work environment and transition without a problem that would cause people to lose their jobs. And we anticipate this is a feature that will maintain as we move forward. Next slide, please. This is just a quick indicator. I said that the tech industry is growing in BC, and this is the prediction over the next 5 years. We're expecting 17% growth, which is a nice healthy growth. So the jobs that are out there now, there's going to be even more of them when you finish your BCIT credential. Next slide, please. And here's another pandemic related number. 79% of businesses say that the pandemic changed the way that they work. And actually what that means is shifting to remote work. And shifting to remote work means IT systems, right? Video conferencing, additional collaboration tools, like maintaining those systems, integrating them with your business processes. So this actually is going to lead to even more growth in the IT sector, because regular businesses increasingly need more and more in the way of IT built into their operations. Okay, so next slide, please. Now this move, that was the tech sector overview. I want you to be convinced that the tech sector is alive and growing in BC. And now I'm going to talk a bit about BCIT. BCIT, we've got about 50,000 students across 5 campuses. Most of the programs you'll see here today are either in the Burnaby campus or the downtown campus. We have a really wide variety of programs and courses, both full-time and part-time, as compared to, we just have really specialized short degree. I mean, diplomas are one of our main things, but also bachelor's degrees. Increasingly, the Institute is starting to offer master's degrees, but also smaller certificates, 10-month certificates, 5-month certificates, part-time credentials. Start with one course and see where it leads you. And again, our sort of identity at BCIT is we focus on real world projects, connections with industry, and really practical uses of computing technology. Next slide, please. And as we talk about our programs, we're going to divide them up into a few tech sector roles. And these will be described as we go through, but I'll just say what they each are. So there's different kinds of things you might be involved with in the tech sector. One is what we call create. So creating systems, writing code, producing software from scratch. That's what people usually picture programmers doing. And we do train people to do those jobs. But there's also configure jobs. So when there is, when we have existing systems and software, you have to integrate it, you have to maintain it, you have to customize it to do exactly what you want, you have to reposition your data to the cloud. There's a lot of things that you have to do that involves just configuring and integrating systems as opposed to creating things from scratch. And we have a bunch of programs that fall under that heading. And the third one is command, which is really a lot of software is so complex today and so useful that you actually need to be trained just to become an expert level user in order to get the most out of it and to be productive in certain industries. And we offer a bunch of programs that fall under this application training sort of title as well. And I will say next slide and I'll disappear for a minute.
Okay, back to me. So we're going to start by describing to you the programs that we've categorized under create, which is kind of building things, writing code from scratch. Right? So for example, writing code to create an app, to create a video game, writing code from scratch. And we're going to start with the CST program, which you may have heard of because it is one of our longest running and largest programs in full-time at least. So you can see there that we have an additional info session on October 20th, specifically for CST. You can also ask your questions here. So CST, Computer Systems Technology, it's a 2-year full-time diploma. And it is meant to train you and teach you how to become a general all-around software developer. So you're going to be in this program learning multiple computer languages, learning how to write code to create things, systems or programs or apps. And there on the screen, you can see some typical jobs or job titles that the CST diploma grads would be competing for. And the CST diploma can also ladder into the CST BTech, the Bachelor of Technology in CST. So how that would work would be you must first take the 2 years of CST diploma, you get your credential for that, then you apply for the BTech, and you do 2 more years to get your Bachelor of Technology in CST. So that is the main highlights of that program. And that program happens to be run on both our Burnaby and our downtown campuses. So going to the next program I'll describe, it's another 2-year full-time diploma program, and this is our full stack web dev. This is one of our newer programs that was created to address some high industry need for full stack web developers. So what we mean by full stack is we're talking about the front end, so the client side, what you would see, and also the back end, the server side, and all the things that go on back there. So full stack. And then typically the full stack graduates are competing for jobs such as web developer or full stack developer. And in full stack, you will also be taught a number of different computing languages, but they will all be related to web. So front end or back end languages. And they have an additional info session as well, October 12th. Okay, this is a certificate, our SSD, our Software Systems Developer Certificate. So this is a fast track certificate that is meant to augment skills. So this tends to be people who already have some sort of credential, some sort of post-secondary credential, but maybe looking to switch careers, or maybe looking to augment skills in a fast time period. So it's full-time, 8 months. This would teach you some of those full stack web dev skills, but in a kind of more compressed manner, and also give you a bit of an intro into mobile development. So they also have an additional info session on December 9th. So that is the SSD certificate. And another certificate, this is the front-end web developer. So half of full stack is front end. So front end would be all the parts that you see. You know, in this, you would be doing the client side programming, such as HTML, CSS, or JavaScript. In this program, you would be learning about UX or UI, user interface, and general website design prototypes. And the front end developer might be the person who typically would be meeting with the client and deciding on the requirements, like what should the page look like and how it should be laid out, but none of the back end work of what goes on behind the scenes in the server and with the database. So a 6-month certificate, kind of targeting the same people as the SSD. So targeting people who may be wanting to switch careers and learn the new skills in a fast track. Okay, and I'm going to now turn it over to Marco.
Thanks so much, Donna, and I appreciate it, and great job so far. The programs I'm going to talk about to everybody tonight are really focused more on the manufacturing, the industrial processes, and the electronic side of industry. And one of the programs that we have is the Electrical and Computer Engineering Technology program. This involves the design and development of electrical and computer applications on those levels. 2-year diploma program, the first year is a common year where all the students will learn the same foundation of information. And in the second year, you're specializing in automation and instrumentation, which is really the involvement of the design application and support of electronic and computer-based automated systems. You'd be interfacing network computers with electronic equipment, pneumatics, hydraulics, mechanical and process systems. Second option that we have is the electrical power and industrial control. And this is the technology that is used in utilities, in industrial and commercial, as well as residential applications of power, the power that comes into our homes. It includes the power generation in both renewable and conventional, like the power in our homes, but it's also teaching into industrial electrical systems and power conversion systems for renewable energy, as well as energy resources such as wind and solar. The final option for the second year is the telecommunications and networks, and this is where the students learn principles required to have careers in designing, developing, manufacturing, and testing of telecommunication systems and networks. Really just like the name, just like it's called. A few of the areas that you'd be studying are things like the wireless networks, the internet engineering technologies, digital data, as well as fiber optic and microwave technologies. We do have this particular program as a 2-year option, and it does lead into our electrical engineering degree as well. So that is another option. One thing that we are doing is we're hosting an information session on Monday, October the 18th. It's going to actually start at 5 o'clock, and we're doing a combination information session. That is at 5 o'clock, we're doing it in person. So if you'd like to come and be in person and have a tour of the facilities, we will gladly be able to do that. At 6 o'clock, we'll be continuing that information session for those that cannot be here in person and have an online session at the same time with people in the room in a classroom or lecture theater, and do a combination and have questions and answers from everybody and do a formal presentation. I do encourage you to register so that I know who's coming and who's not. Next slide, please, Donna. Sorry, one back, Donna. Thank you. The final program that we have in the Create Tech sector is the Mechatronics and Robotics program. This is an exciting interdisciplinary field where we teach our students to integrate technology from mechanical, electrical, and software engineering to design, modify, and maintain complex systems such as computer integrated manufacturing equipment, robots, and embedded systems. You'd be able to design intelligent, reliable, versatile, electromechanical systems such as the industrial robots or the medical devices, simulators, automated assembly lines, building control systems, innovative mechatronic products. Who are we kidding? We want to work in the movie industry. We want to do the production equipment. We want to build submarines. So This particular program is a competitive entry program. The better your entrance requirements are and marks for entrance requirements are, the better the opportunity you have to get into this program. I'm just making you aware that this is one of the only programs that I have that is competitive entry. So it's important for you to know that. Again, we'll be hosting an information session on this program on October the 25th. You can go to bcit.ca info sessions to register for them. And we will be doing that combination information session again, where at 5 o'clock we'll be doing a tour. But for those that cannot attend, at 6 o'clock we'll be doing an online, the online portion of it, so we can make sure that everybody gets the information that they need. And we will go into depth with the program and have a full presentation and answer all of your questions. Next slide, please, Donna. The next tech sector that we'd like to speak about is the configure sector, where it does produce solutions by using, modifying, integrating systems and applications. And Aaron did a great job of explaining that a little earlier, where it really is a hands-on part. Next slide, please, Donna. First program that we're going to speak about here is the Industrial Network Cybersecurity. And I'll just say that again, Industrial Network Cybersecurity. It's one of the newer programs at BCIT, and it was developed with the demand of specialized graduates in mind. We're currently in our third intake, and we've had our first graduating class as of June of this year, which is really exciting. Companies on an industrial level, they are manufacturing, they have large industrial plants, operational technology, and of course that technology uses embedded hardware and operating systems and Ethernet-based networking interfaces, like the links to the internet like we have at home. And that makes them susceptible to the same types of electronic attacks that we could have on our home computers. This program would then take you into a comprehensive study of the industrial measures and control technologies, providing computer information technologies and networking, industrial networking cybersecurity. These graduates would be multifaceted to understand all aspects of systems being used and how to defend them from electronic attacks. Our information session for this is going to be, for this particular program, is going to be on Wednesday, October the 27th. Again, it's at 5 o'clock. It's going to be a combination where we're going to be doing an in-person tour of our brand new state-of-the-art lab. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll be sitting everybody down and doing a combination of in-person and online, where we'll be doing a formal presentation and answering all the questions that you may have. Next slide, please. The Computer Information Systems Administration program has been one of the most popular programs that I have worked with, because it's information technology infrastructure solutions rather than computer engineering or software development. It provides skills focused on maintaining networks, network infrastructure, and client support. It's technical training rather than designing or engineering. The first year really introduces the students to the computer hardwares, the operating systems, the network infrastructure, and some introduction to cybersecurity. And the second year specializes in deploying and supporting those networks and that infrastructure and what's being used in today's enterprise systems. Employers include everything from the internet service providers to governments and municipalities, hospitals, management companies, and airports. This particular program, the information is coming up next Tuesday, October the 12th, at 5:30, and it's going to be online only, and please do register so we can get the information to connect with us for that session. Next slide, please, Donna. This program, the Telecommunication Systems program, is something that I've introduced here into computing and IT because it really is a foundational support to the industry. When people think about telecommunications, and depending on their age, they think landline, cell phones. Well, it's much more than that. And the program has the students develop the skills needed to install, maintain, repair electronic circuits and equipment of all facets that include the telecommunications systems. it's not recognized often enough that this program is also an infrastructure foundation for the computing sector. It's really where you're establishing the physical basis of where the computing industry can operate. They're connecting those phone lines. The program has a common first year, and within the second year has two options. The first one is the telecommunications networks, whereas providing training with current equipment encountered in wired telecommunications and the current systems that we have in our homes, for example. The second option would be radio systems, and that is options that would teach you to install, maintain, and repair radio frequencies. Examples of that would be emergency vehicles, ambulance, fire, police, etc. And the radio frequency is really the only program of its kind in BC. Some of the industries that we've been finding that are using this, of course, are all of our big guys, the Shaws, the TELUS, the Rogers, the Bell, and again, the RCMP and ambulance services. But one other aspect has been the smart homes, and that's something that's been brand new, where this is the type of person that they're looking to employ because they've got the skill set as well, the skill set to do everything that they need done for them. We are hosting an information session for this program on October the 20th. That's Wednesday, October the 20th. And it will be at 5 o'clock with a tour. 6 o'clock will be the online portion. Again, do register for that information session online, just so that I know who's coming and who's going to be online with us. Next slide, please. Finally, I wanted to introduce this to those parents, that alumni that's out there tonight, that's listening, those engineers that are out there. We have developed this brand new program with you in mind. It is the Master of Engineering in Smart Grid Systems and Technologies. It's a brand new accredited program, so new I don't even have it live on the website yet. It will be up live very quickly. And this is an accredited part-time studies program that's going to be focused to do online, and it's really for practicing engineers with relevant disciplines, that being in computer engineering or electrical engineering. It's a great program to upgrade the skills and make your career a little bit more versatile and adding value to your already strong skill set. It's also a very good program for newcomers to Canada with relevant degrees and really giving them an opportunity to potentially experience engineering in Canada. And really, this is all about energy infrastructure and smart grids and what's going on, the wave of the future. We will be hosting an information session in November. I will ask you to look out for that on the information session page, and we'll be getting that out shortly as well. Thank you so much, and I'm going to pass this back to Aaron, who is going to continue presenting with CIT.
Thanks, Marco. I'm really excited about that Master of Engineering program, by the way. That's a great thing for BCIT to be offering. Okay, so the next program, this falls in computing, is our Computer Information Technology diploma. So this is a 2-year diploma. This is our second largest diploma program in computing, and it's competitive entry, I'll mention, since Marco mentioned that about one of his programs. So it is, you do have to compete to get in based on your high school grades. And this is a program that's specifically, about integration and maintenance of systems. So things like systems integrator, network administrator, so what kind of jobs is that? So that means during a typical day, these graduates are going to be doing things like making systems work together. You have multiple complex systems, they have to communicate with each other. That's an integration problem. Or fixing when a system doesn't work, adding extra functions, maintaining systems is a big part of the job. Testing software or computer systems to make sure they work. Typically, grads will have to do or be involved with some programming, some software development. That's a part of the program. It's just not the major thrust. Deploying systems to the cloud, that's a big feature that we have to worry about today. Maintaining database systems, all of these sorts of things that don't involve producing something from scratch, but involve getting it to work together the way you want it to work together. Next slide, please, Donna. Okay, from there we'll go to the Technology Support Professional Program, which is a shorter program. So the last one was a 2-year diploma. This is a 10-month certificate starting in September. And this is a, it's kind of related to the CIT program, but it's not exactly the same. It's more focused on supporting users that use technology. So this means things like IT support positions, help desk positions, junior network administrators. What we imagine grads of this program would be doing in their job is say, making sure systems are running, replacing systems or hardware that stops working, actually responding to requests for help from clients or from staff, testing, assessing, just making sure stuff can turn on and turn off and is running properly, checking the status. All of these sorts of tasks, basic skills in keeping IT systems working and responding the way that users need them to work. Next slide, please. And here, from here, this is a program that actually is not in my area, but it's related. So it's an information system in general. In computing, an information system is just any computer system that keeps data and has some computing ability to process data and do stuff like that. And you can do that in a very general setting, which is the way most programs work. But this is geographic information systems as a credential is focused on information systems that are specifically meant for geospatial data and geospatial analysis. So this is focusing on a particular application that happens to be a really important application that we need to do a lot. So the people in this program, they do the same kinds of tasks we do in other computing areas. They design and build databases. They write programs to analyze data. They even do some web development, but it's all focused on GIS data, geographic information systems data. And you can see there's an information session for this on November 3rd. And there are actually multiple credentials in this area. This is just a subject. They have certificates, diplomas, and degrees. So if you're interested in this, you can learn more about those at the information session. Next slide, please. So not all tech jobs involve actually doing the technical side of the work in terms of poking around and coding things and integrating systems. There are business problems to be addressed in technical companies and in technical jobs. So we have a IT management credential, which is a 2-year diploma offered by the School of Business, which focuses on business problems related to maintaining IT systems. So this is things like consulting with clients on what a system is intended to do. So what do we want the system to do? Getting precise descriptions of what we're actually building for somebody. Mapping out business processes. So not at the level of code, but what is the system doing at a business level for people to worry about? Creating data models or developing solutions at a level of processes and outputs, as opposed to at the level of code and integration. So these are all tasks that are involved in IT management. And I'll mention that they have 2 specializations in this program. One is AI management. So AI is very hot right now, and there's a lot of AI systems out there. Developing those is hard, but it's also hard to maintain them and make sure they fulfill the business needs of your company. So that's the focus of that particular stream. And then the other stream is enterprise systems management, which is a more general large-scale software management. And I'm going to step away. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Aaron. So I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, but it's still related to what you've been listening to as far as computers and networks and different things like that go. I'm going to talk about our forensics programs that we have at BCIT, namely the Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity program. What we find with all these devices that we have out there that are being used to do lots of great things, there's also what we call a nefarious purpose of what people might be using these devices for, attacking networks, hacking into different servers to collect data and whatnot. So what we're finding is there's definitely a growing need for what we call a good digital forensic investigator. So if you have an interest in trying to determine, how something happened, like a network attack, or who, committed a crime and is hiding the evidence on their computer, this might be a program for you. We offer an advanced certificate and a Bachelor of Technology in Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity. There are many different jobs within the world of digital forensics and cybersecurity. You could be a digital examiner who examines evidence contained on items like cell phones, computers, and other electronic devices. Or you could be like a cybersecurity analyst that's working for a company like Amazon or Facebook to prevent and investigate, unauthorized network attacks. Our program's part-time, so courses happen at night and on the weekends. And so it's great, you can still work a regular job and get an education. And within the digital forensics and cybersecurity program, we also do have a full-time day school version, which is great if you're just trying to, get into the workforce as soon as possible. So that's another option as well. For both our certificate and our Bachelor of Technology, you do have to have completed 60 credits of post-secondary in a computer-based program or IT before entering our program. So some of the CST programs at BCIT are a great way to ladder into our digital forensics and cybersecurity program. We will be offering a more in-depth info session occurring on January 24th. So I'll provide that information in the chat shortly. Next slide, please. So the following programs are geared towards mastering what we call the latest in digital software and applications. Next slide, please. And some of these programs would include our advanced certificate or Bachelor of Technology in Crime and Intelligence Analysis. So this type of program, what it really does is it teaches the student how to conduct investigation using tools and techniques, including analysis, crime mapping, and other what we call statistical software. A lot of our graduates will be employed in the crime, intelligence, and security sectors, and a lot of times they're going to be doing some really interesting high-level intelligence work. Again, for this program, just like the digital forensics and cybersecurity program, you do have to have completed about 60 credits of post-secondary, as we don't have any what we call direct entry from high school. For both the programs I've kind of discussed, a lot of our students work in law enforcement, forensics labs, different what we call provincial investigation agencies, insurance companies, and other large corporations. So if either of these programs are of interest to you, again, we've got what we call a more in-depth info session coming up January 24th. So thanks for listening, and I'll be hanging around in the chat if you have, or the Q&A if you have any further questions. And I think Aaron's up again to talk about the technical writing.
Yep, me again. So we have a couple more programs I'm going to talk about. One of them is our technical writing program, which is a part-time certificate. So as a part-time certificate, that means you can take the courses typically at night while you're working another job. But this is an interesting program because it's different than everything else I talked about before. This is about actually writing content for technical topics. So when I was a software developer, we used to employ a full-time technical writer to write documentation for what our code was doing and write user manuals and things like that. That's a technical writing topic. Web companies employ a whole bunch of technical writers because although the web developers and the programmers are great at getting stuff to work and maybe even look pretty on screen, you need somebody to actually write sentences and words that are impactful and meaningful. And that's what this program is intended to teach students to do. And you can see, if you're interested in this, the information session is coming up very shortly on October 7th. So take a look at that. Next slide, please. The last program that I'll talk about is the OAT program, Office Administrator with Technology. And this is it follows very clearly in this command section of the programs, because it's all about really using Office software to increase productivity and help your company be, sort of effective at what they're doing. And so when we talk about Office software, we're talking about things like, Office, Excel, those sorts of standard business programs that everybody has to use in their real working life. But to be a power user, to be able to get the most out of that is actually really challenging and involves training. So we teach people how to use the latest stuff, and we teach also business skills required to make the most of your technical skills. So it's about 80% technical skills, 20% business skills, preparing people for jobs in any company doing things like Office administrative assistant kind of work. And the information session for that is on October 18th. And I'm going to pass this over to Kevin to talk about part-time studies.
Thank you. So as you've seen so far, we have a wide variety of programs, 2 main diplomas in computing, plus a web diploma. In part-time studies, we parallel those programs entirely course by course. So depending on what you're interested in, if you want to focus on software application or web development or analytics, you can take those course by course and earn a smaller credential, or you can actually earn the entire CST diploma and degree entirely part-time. It will take longer and cost more to do it that way, but that's the ideal path for a lot of people that are working. So if you're working part-time, 20 hours a week, you might be able to take 2 or 3 courses a term. Keep in mind that the workload for each course is approximately 10 to 12 hours per week per course, with reading, homework, and class time. So depending on what it is you want to do, you can explore. We've got entry-level courses in programming, web development, database, end-user applications, being an expert end user of Windows. There's also an associate certificate for network administration, and that's designed for people that are already connected in the industry. The details are on the program page. And we also have an associate certificate for agile development, and that's aimed at those with significant work experience that already have some other post-secondary education. So part-time studies offers over 160 different courses every term. And all of the part-time studies in our area start with the COMP prefix, and pay as you go. The next term is in January. Registration will be opening on Wednesday, October 27th, and we're having a part-time studies info session coming up on the 19th. Next slide, please. So part-time studies, nights and weekends. You can start with 1 course and build on it. As I said, the workload depends on the course, but if you've been away from studying for a while, start with 1 course to get an idea of the workload. And across the year, over 500 courses, 3 term starts, and 15 different applied programs that are subsets of the CST diploma. If you've already got other post-secondary education and work experience, and you just want to focus on web development or database or programming or Java, then you can do that. Or you can earn the entire diploma and degree in CST entirely part-time. And our next info session is coming up, so please register for that if you want to learn more about part-time studies. And I guess next slide. Am I done?
You are done.
Thank you.
And it's back to me to finish everything up. Right, so that is our overview of all the computing and IT programs. So every program has different entrance requirements, and you may find that you see a program that you like and you investigate what are the entry requirements, and perhaps you're missing a course, or perhaps you have the course, but you have a low grade in it and you'd like to upgrade. So if you're looking for to gain the prerequisites or to upgrade those, you can take courses through BCIT to get that, and it's bcit.ca/upgrading. Right, so here's a fun thing. So you've watched and now you can win. BCIT is having a contest where you can win $1,000 in tuition. And if you have registered for this webinar, you should receive a link for a survey. And if you complete the survey and submit it, you're entered to win one of these tuition prizes. So the winner will be drawn on October 8th and emailed. So do fill in that survey for us and you could be entered to win some big money. And here's at the bottom here, here's a kind of your one-stop shop. It's bcit.ca/experience. And we have on that page information about future info sessions. Although I do see that the individual info session links have been being posted in the chat for you to copy down, but they should all be on this website as well. You can check out the different campuses, campus highlights, that you can connect with a program advisor. So say you've heard about so many programs and 2 or 3 of them stood out to you. Our program advisors know about all the different programs at BCIT, and they can make an appointment with you and chat with you about which one might be best for you. And also you can learn about the admissions, how to upgrade. You can get a copy of our free view book there. Okay, so that's bcit.ca/experience. Hopefully that will be a useful link for you. So this is the last slide. I've seen just briefly, I've been focused on the slides, but I have seen some Q&A going on. So if you need more clarification on one of the answers you've received, or if you haven't gotten an answer, feel free to ask even more questions now. And I might just kind of look through and call out a few of the more common ones. But basically, the info session is now done, except for the Q&A portion. I saw someone said the recorded session will be available on our BCIT YouTube channel. So that's where you can find it maybe in a week or so. And I'm just gonna kind of like scroll through the Q&A here and feel free to keep asking your questions. So one thing I noticed as we were presenting all of the different programs, one of the common questions was what the delivery model would be for the programs. Right? And so I'm not able to give you a clear answer because the answer is, it depends. It depends on which program you're talking about. And a little bit depends on how the health situation will be going in BC. For example, the program I know the best is CST Diploma. So right now CST Diploma is blended, which means that we have some online and some in person, but even in blended, you do need to be local. You need to be able to attend campus, say 3 to 4 times a week. Right? And so we would either continue with blended or we would move to fully in person. So if that helps you with your travel planning and your future planning, that is the goal for January, at least for CST, and each program will have its own thing. And I see that Marco has something to add.
Thanks, Anna. I was just going to say all of the programs that I had introduced to you all this evening, they are all in person and they are all hands-on. It really is the nature of those programs that I work with. So like you said, it just depends on which program it is.
Yeah. And kind of a supplemental question some people were asking about the info sessions being in person or online. I think Marco said he mentioned some in-person ones. So again, it depends on the program, whether or not those future info sessions are online or in person. So I would just recommend going to that /experience webpage, and we should have it there about, if the info sessions are going to be another Zoom or if it's going to be in person or blended, like some of the ones that Marco was describing. I saw a lot of questions about kind of entrance requirements or what's the minimum, right? So most of that information you can find on the program specific webpage. But for the competitive entry programs, the percentage that you see on the webpage is just the minimum percentage to apply. So it all depends on the grades of the applicants per term. So we don't have a specific cutoff each term. It just depends, for example, for CST, we take in 150 students each September and each January. And so it will just depend on who has the top grades for that group of applicants. But typically it is higher for competitive entry. Typically the average is higher than the minimum that's listed on the web pages. And then keep scrolling down and just kind of just looking through and trying to maybe call out the more common questions. I think most of your questions have been answered by our diligent behind the scenes typers. I believe if you have any specific international student questions, we do have someone from international who's answering questions behind the scenes. Oh, I see my favorite question, which I get asked a lot at in-person info sessions. What's the difference between CIT and CST? I think that, was that Stephanie was answering that? Right. They're both 2-year full-time diploma programs. CST has a lot more general programming to create, you know, an all-around software developer. And we like to say CIT is kind of everything else, like how to put all those things together and configure them and get them all to work and scale them properly as the business grows and keep them working and maintain them and upgrade them and make sure that you have a seamless delivery and seamless service. That's all the kind of CIT stuff. CIT is kind of putting it all together and making it work and keeping it working. And as Aaron mentioned, some programming, but not as much as in CST. I see that we're at 6:20. That's usually about the time I stop talking and we kind of put up our wait for next info session. All right. I don't see anything else, no flood of questions in the Q&A. So we might end it here. I think for the next 10 minutes, although the panelists will leave, actually I'm not certain we should tell people to keep asking questions in the Q&A. Yeah, get some guidance from that. Yes, okay, yeah. So for the next 10 minutes, you can continue asking questions in the Q&A and we'll keep monitoring it. But what I suggest you do is, wait for the YouTube link to come out. Try to narrow in on 2 or 3 programs that seemed interesting to you. Go and investigate those programs on our program specific website so you get all the details there. If you still can't decide, maybe talk to a program advisor or look for one of those future info sessions that will talk specifically and with more detail about those particular programs. But you should narrow it down because there's no way you can go to all of those future info sessions. That's a lot of info sessions to watch. All right, so with that, I will thank you once again for joining us. I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope to see you at some time at BCIT, hopefully in person, and have a good evening.
Good evening. My name is Michael Galli. I'm the Director of International Recruitment and Admissions at BCIT International. And I would like to welcome everyone to our session. I can't see myself on the screen, so could somebody please let me know if I'm actually being heard?
Yes, we can see and hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Okay, so we have 3 different sections to this international session, and I will be starting with the speaking about the recruitment and admissions, followed by my colleagues Tracy Wong and Roger Herr, who will talk about the international student services and the international credential evaluation services at BCIT. So what is BCIT? For international students, if you are here or if you are abroad, BCIT is all about intensive study for this complex world we live in. We have our programs run between 25 and 32 hours per week. That means you are in school 25 to 32 hours per week. You have as many hours of homework and assignments afterwards. What this means is after 2 years of study, you will have completed roughly the same number of credits, possibly more than a 4-year bachelor degree in most institutions. Most post-secondary institutions offer 120 credit programs for a 4-year bachelor. You're doing 110 to 140 credits in 2 years. So it's very intensive. It's for people who know what they want to study because you are studying only your subject at BCIT. In the 2-year diplomas, there are no general education courses. So if you're not in Vancouver now and you want to see where we are, we have a nice map for you. Thank you, Camille. So you can see the dot on the far left side of the screen, that's where Vancouver and British Columbia are. And we are on the beautiful West Coast, of course, the Pacific Gateway. We're the host of the 2010 Winter Olympics. And if you haven't been here, it is a gorgeous place to live and study. A little bit about BCIT. We were founded in 1964. We have between 48 and 50,000 students enrolled annually, making us one of Canada's largest post-secondary institutions. Before COVID, we were up to about 6,500 international students. Last year, that number went down somewhat, but to date, we have graduated over 200,000 graduates, and many of those are international students. We are different from a college or a university. The Institutes of Technology are about hands-on learning. So at BCIT, you will be studying the theory of your subject about half of the time and practicing that theory half of the time. So when you graduate, you're coming out not just with knowledge, but also skills. That makes you very valuable to industry. Class sizes are small at BCIT. The largest class size you'll see is in our School of Business with 28 students. The smallest class sizes tend to be in programs like aircraft maintenance engineering, and those classes run with 16 students. So everything else is between those two numbers, 16 to 28 students. Having small class sizes gives you lots of time with your instructors, which is great because they are very knowledgeable. And about our instructors, they all have industry experience. So they are not people who graduate from university with a PhD and they're great researchers, but they've never worked in their industry. BCIT instructors must have at least 2 years of industry experience, but in reality, most of them have over 10 years of experience. So what they bring to you in the classroom is knowledge of the subject, knowledge of the practice. They know how to use what they teach you, and a knowledge of the industry. So when you go out to work, when you go out to find a job, the instructors have prepared you for what to expect. Another very important feature about BCIT are the program advisory committees. Camille, do we have one slide on this? No, we don't. Okay, so just quickly about the program advisory committees. Every program at BCIT has one. These committees are made up of industry partners, so companies around the Vancouver area, and they send us managers, vice presidents, all kinds of people from different levels in their companies to sit on our advisory committees to make sure that our faculty are up to date on what is happening in that industry, so that we can make sure that our programs are continually updated. And that means when you graduate, you have up-to-date knowledge and skills, and that's what industry is looking for. It's very, very important. We have 5 campuses at BCIT. The Marine campus and Annacis Island campus are not, we don't see many students, international students go to those campuses. Most of our students will go to the Burnaby, Vancouver, and Aerospace campus, and these are outstanding campuses. The Burnaby main campus in Burnaby is, I believe, 164 acres. It's huge, lots of facilities, and that's where you would do health science or engineering, business. Computing is offered at mainly the Vancouver downtown campus. That is considered our technology hub. And then we have the Aerospace Technology Campus in Richmond, right next door to the Vancouver International Airport. And that is an outstanding facility. Next slide, please. So what does it all add up to? When you graduate from BCIT, 91% of our grads will find employment within the first 6 months of graduation. That is a very high percentage. And if you graduate with a bachelor degree, so if you do the full 4 years, that number goes up to, Camille, next slide, please, to 98%. And I often get questioned, well, why is the diploma less? And I believe the answer is some of the students don't go look for a job. Many do. They finish their diploma, 2 years of intensive study and practice. They are well prepared, well trained. They go out and find a job. And then maybe they come back and do the degree at a later time. But some of the students don't go look for a job. They go directly into the bachelor degrees. And that's why I believe the percentage of graduates from the degrees are higher. Okay, so I think if we calculated that, you'd see that the diploma level students are finding jobs almost as easily as the bachelor degrees. So there are 150 programs available at BCIT. And just to give you a quick idea, in areas of business and media, computing and IT, engineering and applied sciences, health sciences, transportation, and a number of trades programs. The programs at BCIT, as I mentioned, are very intensive, and you're only studying subject-related courses. So if you look at this screen, the General Insurance and Risk Management program is a business program. It's 120.5 credits. That is, again, like a 4-year degree, but you're doing it in 2 years. So you're extremely well prepared. And you can see all the courses are related to business. Level 1, that is September. Level 2 is January, all business. Level 3, again, September, you have the summer off. And then level 4 in January, you finish your 2-year diploma. Again, you have the choice to go look for a job or go directly into the Bachelor of Business Administration. Now, the General Insurance and Risk Management enjoys, I believe, one of the highest postgraduate employment rates. I've heard that mostly 100% of the students will find a job because, again, they're so well prepared, and the insurance industry looks for people with those kind of skills. Admissions requirements are quite simple at BCIT. What is needed for the program is what we ask you for. So when you look at a program page, go to the entrance requirements tab on the left, click on that. It will take you to this page. So for computer systems technology, it is a competitive entry program. There are application start dates and end dates. So the deadline for next September is March 6th. It is competitive. You're only required to submit English and math scores. If you're an international student in Vancouver and you've taken high school, then you just submit your high school score. If you're overseas, and then you would probably be taking one of the language tests like the IELTS, the TOEFL. We still accept the Duolingo for 2022 September, but I believe it will end after that. The math is again from your high school normally, and because this is a competitive entry program, you need to have very high marks. So CST, the Computer Systems Tech program, we usually get 5 applicants for every seat. So that's a very high ratio. So the students with math and English in the 90s are usually the ones who can count on getting a seat. But it is possible still with grades in the 80s and possibly in the 70s. Okay, so that's the competitive entry. A program like General Insurance and Risk Management is first qualified, first accepted. So you apply after October 1st, and as long as you meet the minimum requirements, so English and math from grade 11 with a 67% average, then you would be accepted as long as there's still seats available. So if you apply early, generally you can count on getting a seat. If you're applying late, like next March or April, probably the seats will all have been filled by then. Next slide, please. English requirements for high school English 12, 67% average. These are the equivalencies. So we do have an English program at BCIT called the ISEP. It's a great program. You can apply to that, and then we would give you a letter of acceptance that says what your follow-up program is. So that helps with your study permit application. But we can also accept the CALE, IELTS, TOEFL, Pearson Test of English, Cambridge Academic English, and again, the Duolingo until September 2022. Application fee is $154 for international students. If you are accepted, you must pay a $3,000 commitment fee to receive your official letter of acceptance to apply for your study permit. Then 60 days prior to term start, you would be required to pay the rest of your tuition. So tuition is around $10,000 per term, so $20,000 per year. And again, you've paid the $3,000 commitment fee. So in July, you would be required to pay the additional $7,000. And that's it for my section. I'll pass you on now to Tracy Wong, our Director of International Student Services.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for attending our info session tonight or in the morning, wherever you are. Like Michael was saying, BCIT course load is heavy. So at BCIT, international students have access to a great number of services, resources, and facilities. In this presentation, I'm going to highlight the services provided to international students by the International Student Center team. Just to remember, our support system consists of 4 components: government and institute compliance, transition and orientation, student engagement, and advocacy support. Next slide, please. It is important to understand immigration compliance requirements, the various types of permits and visas that may be required, and what responsibility that international students have. Make sure to visit our permits, visas, and status page that provides a wealth of information and knowledge. It will help you to understand who needs a study permit, how to apply for or renew a study permit, what documents you may need about entering Canada, what is considered to be a full-time or part-time course load at BCIT, or whether you may be able to stay in Canada and work after graduating. In addition, as an international student, you are responsible to maintain the appropriate valid status in Canada at all times. Be sure to attend workshops that I'm going to mention a little bit later. Next slide, please. It is also important to understand different types of medical insurance that you may need while studying in Canada. Basic medical insurance coverage is actually mandatory for all international students throughout your studies at BCIT. To navigate through all the information you need, you can visit our medical insurance pages, which is at the bottom of the slides, and there is a link to the page. Next slide. Thank you. During your studies, you may also need a letter from BCIT for several reasons. This could be extending your study permit or your temporary resident visa, inviting your family to visit Canada, applying for work, or applying for a post-graduation work permit. To understand the different letters available for you and verify if you meet all eligibility requirements to request a letter, you can definitely visit our international letters of verification page. In terms of engagement and also transition orientation, to help our students to succeed in your studies at BCIT, we host international orientation events each term to provide an opportunity for connecting with your peers in person or virtually. We also have additional resources available online for you to explore at your convenience and at your own pace. The web guides and checklists provide comprehensive information, such as pre-arrival checklist, getting set up, travel to Canada, navigating Metro Vancouver, and housing guide. In partnership with the BCIT Student Association, we offer international peer mentoring program to help new students transition to life at BCIT and make meaningful social connections. You will be connected with other new BCIT students and getting a chance to learn from a BCIT student mentor who is a continuing student in good academic standing. Mentors will be able to share their perspective and knowledge of student life in BCIT and the Metro Vancouver area, as well as to do their best to answer questions or refer mentees to appropriate resources. We offer various info sessions, workshops, and special events to international students throughout the term. You can join our virtual social gathering or in-person fun events or workshops to get the updates and information you need and stay informed. These events are great. They are not only provide great opportunities to connect with the BCIT community and meet other international students, whether in your program or other programs, but also acquire important information such as maintaining academic status, study permit conditions, career planning, work eligibility, or post-graduation work permit explained, just to name a few. We also have monthly international student newsletter called the International Student Update. Our goal is to inform, inspire, and empower in serving the international student community at BCIT. Lastly, in terms of academics advocacy support, the International Student Center works collaboratively with various departments at BCIT through an integrated support system. We recognize that not only international students need to meet academic requirements, but also immigration requirements. If you attended earlier sessions, you may hear about our early assist system. We also have accessibility services to provide individual accommodation plan to students in need. Our counseling service support our students' development and well-being. In addition, BCIT Student Association's Advocacy Office offers non-judgmental support services to BCIT students in a safe space. By working with these various departments and program areas, we can offer a comprehensive solutions to the unique needs of our international students. So we are here to support you. And we want you to know that the International Student Center is open. We provide in-person and virtual job-in services. You can also reach us by phone, email, or follow us on social media. We encourage you to check out our website at bcit.ca/international for a wealth of information and available resources to support you. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you. Up next, Roger is going to present International Credential Evaluation Service. Roger.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and welcome everyone. I'm glad you could join us this evening. My name is Roger Herr. I'm the manager of the International Credential Evaluation Service, and we are a service of BCIT. Next slide, please. So what is ICES? So we are the provincially mandated credential evaluation service in BC. There are actually 5 different services across Canada which do the same work. We are a service of BCIT, and we are actually housed at the Burnaby campus. So basically what we're doing is doing evaluations of comparability of foreign education and to translate that information into more of a contemporary BC and Canadian setting. So we are also a member of the Alliance of Credential Evaluation Services of Canada. The other services are IQUAS, who is in Alberta. There's also 3 services in Ontario. One is part of the University of Toronto called CES. There's ICAS in Guelph, Ontario, and there's also World Education Services. The last service is actually part of the Quebec government as well, and they are MIDI. Next slide, please. So you may be wondering what we look at with regards to the credential assessment itself. So first and foremost, we are looking at the authenticity of the documents themselves. Are they authentic? Are they issued by the institution? And depending on which organization that you're applying to, whether it's BCIT or otherwise, you may have a specific document standard that you need to meet. So for example, if you're applying to an organization that requires original documents, you need to submit original documents. If you're applying to an organization that requires official documents, then those documents have to come directly from the source institution in order for us to satisfy that requirement. So some of the other things that we're looking at is the minimum credential that one must hold in order to be admitted to the program, so admission requirements. We're also looking at the level and duration of the program. So for example, if you're having your bachelor's evaluated, how long was that bachelor's degree? Was it 3 years, like it is in many places in India? Was it 4 years, like many places throughout the world? Or was it 5 years in duration? We're also looking at what sort of access that credential gives. So we call that academic laddering. So does your credential lead to the next credential? So was it a bachelor's degree that then could lead to a graduate level degree? We look at all those different factors. And then lastly, we're looking at the recognition of the institution and the program. Generally speaking, for many countries around the world, that's the Ministry of Education that holds the approval for institution to operate and to award degrees. Next, please. So we have three main types of reports. We have two streams. So we have a general report, a basic or comprehensive, and then we do a third report called an educational credential assessment, or shortened called ECA. Basically, for general evaluations, basic evaluation will give you a comparability. It's generally good for employment purposes. It will say what your credential is comparable to. The main difference between a comprehensive and a basic is that the comprehensive would list the courses. It would list all the courses, the grades, and the credits, and then we would then convert that information and provide you that information in a converted form in the report itself. The ECA is actually more specific. It's a very cut down version of the report, and it's usually used for express entry. So individuals that are planning to immigrate to Canada have to have an educational credential assessment in order to meet the immigration requirements. Next, please. So we charge on a per credential basis. Since we follow the cost recovery model, we charge $128 for a basic evaluation, $230 for a comprehensive, and then $200 per credential for an ECA. So depending on, again, the number of credentials you're having evaluated, you would multiply that by. So you may wonder, what credentials should I have evaluated? Generally, what we recommend is to have your highest level credential evaluated, but also it's important to actually consider whether or not you're having the right credential evaluated. So for example, let's say you're applying for a job and you have a Bachelor of Graphic Arts and you also have a Master of Business Administration. Let's say that the job is for graphic arts. Most likely your graphic arts degree would be more applicable in that situation. So probably in that case, we would recommend you to have your bachelor's evaluated. However, when you're looking to immigrate to Canada and you're trying to maximize the number of points that you're receiving, we always recommend to have your highest credential evaluated. Next, please. With regards to document requirements, again, individuals need to submit at least original documents unless otherwise noted. So many of the organizations that we work with require official documents. And if that's what is stipulated, that's simply what you have to arrange. So in those cases, generally students would contact their school would then send us directly documents to confirm their education. Usually at least a notification saying which degree was awarded, and then usually an official transcript. Now, if only original documents are necessary to meet your requirements, then the documents that you have in your possession that were issued by your school are sufficient. At the end of the process, all original documents are returned to applicants, but official documents actually remain with our office. If an individual, oh, sorry, Camille, just back one. If an individual needs a translation of any of their documents, I know that came through in one of the Q&A questions. Translations can be found either in your home country or here when you arrive in BC. So one of the organizations that we use quite often is, and you can find translators of your specific language, is STIBC, the Society of Translators and Interpreters of British Columbia. So there you can find certified translators, contact the individual translator, and then there's fees associated with that sort of process. And generally, it does vary. So I recommend that you call all the different translators that are available and try to go with the most competitive price. Next, please. So here's some classifications of documents themselves. As I mentioned, original documents are the documents that are issued by the school that are in your possession. They generally have specific markings, seals, signatures, stamps, and they're not a photocopy or a notarized copy. Official documents are documents coming directly from the school, directly to our office. And what we do is we actually track the integrity of the documents that are coming directly from whichever country they're coming from, and we make sure that the integrity of that information is unbroken. So for example, if a document is coming from India, we make sure that it's coming from the right vicinity, from the right postal code, and then we track that information to make sure that indeed the school has sent us this information. If individuals make their relatives or friends send this document, there's actually a high probability that we'll reject the documents because again, it's breaking the integrity. With regards to copies, we can actually consider any sort of photocopy or notarized copy a copy. And the reason being is that many notaries in many countries are not necessarily employees or have verification powers with regards to the documents themselves. They're simply affirming that the original document looks exactly like the photocopy, and they're adding their own stamp and signature and charging individuals a fee. Now, if the verification is coming directly from the school, that's something different. But generally speaking, notaries don't necessarily verify the information. Again, they're just verifying what they see is original. Next, please. If individuals have questions with regards to any of our three areas, we're happy to accept any sort of inquiry. So those are our emails that are listed there. Michael, can I kick it back to you?
Yes, thank you, Roger. Thank you, Roger, very much. That was a great presentation. Tracy, you as well. We've been busy behind the scenes responding to questions in the Q&A. Thank you very much to all my colleagues for assisting with that. Sorry, meant to turn on the video as well. Most of these questions have been very specific. I don't see any that I would bring out to the whole group. There are a few questions about the ICES evaluation, if it's needed for every program. So if you are applying to a program like a bachelor degree or a master's degree, then likely you would need it. If you, sorry, lost my train of thought. If you have not been able to meet the math or other entrance requirements through your high school transcripts, then perhaps you would want to use your post-secondary transcripts. Then I believe you would need to have those credentials evaluated by the ICES.
Just further to that, Michael, is that generally speaking, all the faculties and all the departments do have that listed within their requirements. So if an ICES evaluation is required, then it should stipulate so. So in our line of work, basically there's two streams. So many of the faculties either deal with it themselves to evaluate the international credential and to make decisions about admission, or the faculty and department has that requirement in place, and then we complete a report and then it's forward to the department to make those sort of admissions decisions. So I would always check with each individual department to make sure that you're satisfying those requirements, just to make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Thank you, Roger. Sorry, there was another question just now about the difference between IELTS scores in competitive entry programs. So the question is whether there's a big difference between IELTS 7 and 8. You know, when it comes to competitive programs, generally speaking, the higher your score, the better chance you have to be accepted to the program, because mostly, but not 100%, but mostly the decisions will be based on your academic scores. In some programs, they also require you to submit a questionnaire, and often the decisions will be made partially based on the questionnaire. And that may, in fact, override the academic scores that you have. But if you're applying to, say, a computer systems technology, computer information technology, those programs mostly require just the academic scores. They may give preference to students if they have taken some high school computing courses as well. But it's hard for us to say if there is a big difference. In some cases, there will be a big difference. But if you have a 7, it's a strong score. If you have an 8, it's a very strong score. And again, if you're entering the competition by just meeting the minimum requirements, that may not get you far enough, because again, you're competing against all the other international students who are applying to that program. And again, in a program like computer systems technology, where we have 30 seats reserved for international students, we will receive about 150 applications. So 1 in 5 applicants will receive an offer to that program. So again, having math and English, as high as you can get them, increases your chance of getting into that program. Roger, Tracy, are there any questions you see in the chat, in the Q&A, that you think we should bring out, or anybody else, Janice or Tamina? I don't see any questions that are very broad. I've had a few questions about programs that are first qualified, first accepted. So I had, if you're a student in a BC high school and you're applying to a program that requires, let's say, grade 12 English and grade 11 math. So most of the business programs at BCIT only require English 12, 67% average, and math 11, 60% average. So if you're applying and you have been in Canada for 2 years already, because we have a 2-year requirement for your speaking and listening requirements. If English has 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing, and the score you get from high school English tends to be based on your reading and writing. So for us to at least have an idea of your speaking and listening proficiency, we ask that you have been studying in an English speaking environment for at least 2 years. So again, if you have been in Canada in a high school for 2 years, you completed grade 11, if you met the math 11, 67% average, and the English 11, 67% average, we can accept you to your program based on those scores and based on the fact that you are registered to take grade 12 English. So if you can show proof of registration in grade 12 English and completion of math 11 with the required score, then you would be acceptable to the program. You may be required, you may be required at some point to provide your final transcripts. There is a chance that you would be audited and requested. So you can't stop attending your English course just because we've accepted you to the program. Sorry, Roger, go on.
No, that's okay. I just want to answer this question that came in from Mohammed. Mohammed's asking, I want to evaluate my degree for employment. You think I should get a basic or comprehensive report? So Mohammed, just to give you a quick answer, for employment purposes, generally a basic evaluation is sufficient because employers only usually want to see the level of credential that you've attained. So if you have a bachelor's degree, is it comparable to a bachelor's degree that meets their employment requirements? Now, if the employer wants to see your courses and needs to see grades or credits, then that's when you should have a comprehensive evaluation done. And that's basically the difference between the two reports. But like I said, generally speaking, for employment purposes, a basic report is sufficient.
Okay, you had a follow-up question, Roger.
Oh, yes, okay. Yes, absolutely. You can get a comprehensive report later. So the question is, if I get a basic, can I request one later? Yes. So there's an upgrade process where we can upgrade your evaluation from a basic to a comprehensive, and we can certainly do that at any time.
Great, thank you, Roger. There's a question about meeting the English requirements through PELD, and I think Janice, you just responded to that. See if I want to add anything to it. We do have several English programs at BCIT. The PELD, PELD is a part-time program. So it's, there are 4 levels of PELD, and when you complete the COM 0005, then you have met the reading and writing requirement, for most of the programs, depending on the score that you achieved. But then there's also the speaking and listening. So you would also have to complete the COM 003, sorry, help me someone, is it 30 or 33? One's a test, one is a course, I believe. But in any case, you would need to provide both of those tests or both of those courses.
Hi, Michael. It's actually COM 0033. Completion of COM 0030 is what you need to have to meet the speaking and listening portion of that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janice. Okay. Okay, Julie, I hope that that's good. Great. Okay. Navjot has a question about about applying for a postgraduate diploma. Now, we have a few postgraduate, what are the postgraduate diplomas that we have available right now for international students? They're certificates, I believe, right? The Global Leadership is one of them. Can someone help me out on this one?
Could it be in building? Graduate certificate in building? I'm thinking it might be that one, Michael.
Building, I'm not familiar with that one.
We would have some master options available as well.
Yeah, okay, Navjot, maybe we can start by finding out what area you're interested in, because we have just a limited number of postgraduate credentials available.
Michael,
you know what
perhaps it's the business management advanced diploma.
It's advanced diploma. Okay. I think they're looking for a postgrad.
Postgraduate, yeah. I'd recommend they send an email to program advising, program_advising@bcit.ca, and we could provide a really accurate list of the programs that would be available to them for sure.
Great. Thank you, Janice. Okay, Navjot, if you could contact program advising on that, they'll be able to help you out further. Actually, what I do want to mention now, we get a lot in international, we get a lot of international students who ask about the postgraduate diplomas. And I know that's a common term in a lot of institutions. But one thing you should be aware of is that about 60 to 70% of our students come to BCIT not directly from high school. They come after they completed a bachelor degree. And I mean Canadian students or international students. So they finished a degree, they come to BCIT for our diplomas. Okay, these are our 2-year diplomas. We don't call them postgraduate diplomas. They're 2-year diplomas, and they tend to be the first 2 years of our bachelor degrees. But again, because of the way our programs are structured, year 1 and 2 are very intensive and focused only on your subject courses. No general education courses. So in reality, they're more like year 3 and 4 in a university. So why do students come and they already have a degree, but they come for our diploma? Because our diplomas are applied. And when you complete a diploma at BCIT, like I said in my presentation, you have developed skills. You haven't been sitting in a classroom for 4 years. You've been practicing what we've been teaching you, and you are very employable. So again, Canadian students recognize this. They graduate from the university, they come to us and they do a 2-year diploma because they know that's going to get them a job. Okay, so again, if you're looking for a postgrad diploma, and many people ask about master's degrees, and again, my advice or my thinking on this, if you have a bachelor degree and you don't have any work experience and you go directly into a master's degree, I don't believe that's necessarily a better option than doing an applied diploma. But it depends on what your ultimate goal is. If you want to study for 2 years, get a master's and then go on to a PhD, then obviously a master's is a better option. But if you want to find a job after 2 years of study, I think the BCIT 2-year diplomas are the best guarantee. I mean, there's no way anybody can give you 100% guarantee that you're going to find a job, but our postgraduate employment rates are among the highest, and I believe that's really your best opportunity to find a job.
Okay. Michael, I would also like to add it in BCIT. We actually do have quite a bit advanced diploma. That's like after diploma, right? So we may not have a postgraduate diploma as a credential in BCIT, but we do have a quite a bit advanced diploma. I was just going to the full-time program Accept International page, and you can just type advanced diploma and list of them pops up. And there is several in the business and the media area, and there's also applied natural sciences. So maybe this is something that what is known in different countries. And in BCIT, we do have advanced diploma. So that might be something to keep in mind as well. Okay,
yep.
Thanks.
And on that point, I'll add again, I'm always in favor of the 2-year diplomas because in terms of getting a postgraduate work permit, when you study for 2 years, it makes you eligible for the 3-year. So the maximum 3-year postgraduate work permit. I believe the advanced diplomas are mainly 1 year, Tracy?
Advanced, yeah, they typically like 1 year.
Yeah, so it might limit your postgraduate.
It's the length of the post-graduation work permit.
Yeah. Kevin Cuddy, he was asking, and I didn't see it in the chat because I was talking so much, but he was asking if we wanted him to talk about the reopening of the CSC and ADAC to international.
Sure.
These are, but he's gone. He had to leave to another meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Tracy, do you have enough info to just refer to that?
That is, it's a part-time studies.
Yes, it is.
So
Tracy, yeah.
Yeah, so may not be, it's a part-time studies and it has been closed for declaration for quite a while. So he just recently, the 2 popular program, certificate program in the part-time study, that he is going to open up the declaration for international student with a limited seats capacity. So that's probably what he wanted to just mention that to anyone who would be interested. And for part-time study, we need to be reminded that typically those are for the student who would already have valid status in Canada. So if the attendee is here from outside Canada, then it will be better for you to apply for full-time program.
Great. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Janice. Okay, and I see there's one more question. It's a specific question in the chat, in the Q&A. So I think Janice is already typing an answer to that. We're at 11:50. Oh, sorry. I'm not sure what time it is.
7:16.
7:16 now. So we're at the end of our session. If anyone does have any questions, please jot them into the chat very quickly. Otherwise, feel free to email. You can email for general application and admission questions to international_admissions@bcit.ca. On the screen here, you see the whole thing is underlined, but between international and admissions, there is an underscore. So international_admissions@bcit.ca or ISC_info@bcit.ca or ICESinfo@bcit.ca. Okay, so again, feel free to email us. And I'll just take this one final question. Are there any kind of scholarships, loans, or similars to apply to the CST full-time program? Sorry, unfortunately, BCIT, we don't have entrance scholarships. There are a number of awards that are offered after first year, and they are merit-based awards for students with the highest GPA in that area. But in terms of entrance scholarships, unfortunately, we don't have those. Okay.
It's like the Oscars.
I wasn't sure if I was cut off there, but again, thank you everybody for attending our session, and we look forward to answering more of your questions and hopefully seeing you come to BCIT in the new year. Take care. All the best.
Thank you, everyone.